When I did my unboxing video of this watch, the Glashutte Original SeaQ 39.5 millimeter in blue, I had a lot of people say, "Hey Bruce, that watch looks nicer than your Rolex Submariner, than your Hulk." And you know what? I can't really disagree with you. This is an absolutely gorgeous, handcrafted sport watch from Glashutte Original, a German brand that makes pretty value-rich luxury pieces at a higher price points. And when you watch a Glashutte review, either by me, and I've done a couple that I will link in the description of this video, or by another presenter, another channel, you'll hear a lot of things like, "Hey, this is nicer than a Submariner." But none of these reviewers or presenters seem to own a Glashutte. So are they being disingenuous? Are they hyping up a product, unnecessarily? That's a very valid question. And I think Glashutte, it suffers a little bit as a brand from name brand recognition and name brand cachet. Rolex, love them or hate them, they're seen as a status symbol of luxury, of wealth, of success globally. It's probably the most recognized name brand out there outside of maybe Casio. But even then, I don't know. I might argue that Rolex is the best, is the most well-known. So I hope to bring some more exposure to this brand because what they're bringing to the table is very impressive. And you can see the detail work. It's noticeable. The quality comes through even here in the pictures and videos that I'm dropping in. You can feel the quality of the hand finishing and the nice fit on wrist and, the tactile elements of the bezel, of the crown, of the clasps, closures, micro extension systems. So let's talk about this model. And I will say this is the model that Glashutte should have led off with when they introduced the SeaQ. They introduced a 39.5 millimeter version alongside a 43.5 millimeter version, but each one of them had their warts, so to speak. Let's start with the big one, which is so beautiful. The details really come across, very dynamic. I love the large pano date. I love the applied markers here, the BGW9 lume. And I think even more so, I like turning the watch over and taking a look at the box sapphire exhibition case back where I can look at the hand finished movement. I can see the precious metal. I can see the black polished swan neck regulator, the thermally blued screws, and the proportional movement. This is a big watch, but the movement is nice and wide diameter wise. So visually it fills the space to just a very sharp degree. And it's a lovely watch, but it's a tall watch. It's a big watch. And I think it's just a tad too big for a daily driver diver for a lot of us that are shopping this price point of around $10,000. You can find discounts on Glashutte. So depending on the model, depending on the bracelet or the strap, it's going to be around $10,000 or under in some cases. So you know what? It's just a little bit too big. So we look at the 39.5, which is a very versatile watch with the deep bronze sunray dial. Great fit on wrist, thin, trim, comfortable, adjustable. The bracelet, each one of the links is fully articulating. There's a micro extension system, a hidden push button one in the clasp. And I believe Glashutte was the first brand to introduce a micro extension system that, you don't need a tool for. So, I mean, that's really great. But you look at the dial and it doesn't have the finesse and the beauty of the blue one that had the applied markers and it had the white tone BGW9 Superluminova. The smaller version had that old radium tone that some of us have no problems with. It's a nice, warm, inviting look, and others we think it looks like it's been baked too long in the sun. It looks it's a love it or hate it type of aesthetic. And so I think the lack of the finesse and the old radium lume kind of held that model back to a degree. And so now let's talk about the subject matter of today's video. This has that gorgeous blue galvanized sunray dial, the navy ceramic bezel insert, the applied markers that add that level of finesse and pop and beauty. And you know what? It is more impressive when you look at full appliques done in Arabics as opposed to, circles, rectangles, triangles. Like, that I have in my Submariner here. This is certainly beautiful and simple. I'm not trying to dog on it or anything, but when you do see a nice, fully applied Arabic dial, it's something to appreciate because that brand went to the extra steps of creating more materials to put in the dial. And you know what? It's a more involved and expensive process. So I think it looks great. And so you take that great fit of the 39.5 millimeter version and you take the lovely color scheme of the larger Panomatic date version and you have something that just shines. It looks good. And guys, I hope this comes across in the video. This is a very beautiful watch. And I think it does come across. And I think that's one of the reasons why I had viewers reach out and say in that unboxing video, hey, that looks nicer than your Hulk. Because you know what? I think it is nicer than the Hulk. as much of a hot take topic as that statement is, I think the quality does come across. Yet, why do people buy Rolexes and stuff? Well, like I mentioned before, I think Glashutte does suffer a little bit from name brand recognition and cachet. And as vain as this sounds, some of us, when we buy a luxury watch, especially for the first time, we want a little bit of that name cachet. We want people to know, hey, that guy dropped $10,000 on a watch. He must be doing really well. And that's totally silly and ridiculous and vain and to a degree obtuse and disgusting. But you know what? So many of us want that. When we are going to spend, $3,000, $5,000 on a watch, a lot of times we're buying an Omega, a Tudor. We're not buying a Brellum that is equally, when you look at the detail work, the finishing and everything, it is so well done. The value is here, but the name brand, a lot of people don't know it yet. And so it really comes down to the cachet factor, I think. And so I hope to bring some more exposure to Glashutte so that people understand that there are awesome options at this luxury price point level where technically you're getting a hand finished product as opposed to a machine finished product that really is special and comes across, on wrist and in pictures and, in video. And when someone reaches out to you and compliments your watch as you're wearing it, a Glashutte, they're doing it because they genuinely think it's beautiful. Like it grabs their attention and not necessarily for the name brand. It's one of those stealthy releases. And if someone does recognize the name brand and compliments you, I bet you 99.9% of the time that individual is going to be a watch enthusiast and they probably have more respect for you buying a Glashutte over a brand like Rolex. So guys, what do you think of this? What do you think of this take that I've shared with you? Again, I think Glashutte is on the right track here with this release. They're improving the color scheme. They're giving us what we want with those little finessed elements. And it's in that very comfortable, manageable size that works on most wrists. I think there is one area for improvement that I don't know if we're going to see in the future, but I hope we do. And that would be an exhibition case back, because that was one of the highlights of the 43.5 is you could spend a lot of time looking at the detail work, the hand finishing. You could take out a loop and really appreciate the details. And you know what? You can't do that on the 39.5, even though technically for a sport watch with 200 meters of water resistance, that's what you want. You want a closed case back. But that watch enthusiast in me, I just kind of crave and yearn for looking at the beauty and seeing, where the majority of my money is going when I purchase a luxury product, because, a lot of times the cost has a large factor in it of, is it hand finished? Is it a manufacturer movement? And how much of that movement is manufactured in-house as opposed to sourced from different suppliers and whatnot. But that's a topic for another video. I do think Glashutte is on the right track. I really like this release. I think there is areas for improvement, but those areas kind of come down to personal preference. Do you want a closed case back? Do you want an open case back? Do you like polished center links? Or do you like fully satinized links? I think when you look at the model in general, it's really well done. It's really sharp. It's really exciting. And I hope you guys can see the beauty and the details here in this video. So let me know what you think of this. Are they on the right track? Is this a watch you would consider at the price point? Or like most people, are you going to gravitate toward a name brand like Rolex or Omega or Blancpain. I'd like to hear your take. Why is this watch kind of talked up, but doesn't seem to be on a ton of wrists? I hope it gets on more wrists in the future. I hope this brand gets more exposure and becomes less of a well-kept secret and more of a prestigious brand that people are really proud to own and to a degree flex and show off, as silly and vain as that sounds. So guys, thanks for watching today. If you're shopping for Glashutte, whether it's the 39.5, this new blue color iteration, the Panomatic Lunar, whatever it is, I'm going to put my contact at Exquisite Timepieces in the description. Nick is awesome, great customer service. He'll work with you where he can when it comes to discounts and swag. He's a good guy. So I want to thank Nick for sending this in and the other watches he has lent in the past. And I have some really cool ones coming this week that I'm excited to film and review. So all of that's in the description. Thanks for watching today, guys. And I'll see you in the comments section.